Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and I've been thinking about getting out and tilling up the garden. It's getting kind of late. We're almost to the end of February, and I haven't done anything yet because it's been raining every other day, and the back is a mud hole, and so I'm not sure if I can till the ground up. But the tomato plants are already on sale down at Walmart and Lowe's and Home Depot, and it's time to get something in the ground. So I dug out the tiller yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday. No, it rained yesterday, so I did it the day before yesterday, and it didn't want to start. So today we're going to do some small engine repair or whatever and find out why that thing didn't start. I got my own theories on it, but we'll have to wait and see if I'm right or not. So let's go get the tiller and set it up here in the garage and see if we can crank the thing up. Now, I've already seen this repair, and I know how it comes out, and I know what I found to be wrong, but I'm going to start with a checklist of normal things that you would check for something like this, and I'm going to go down the list, and you'll see that I make some wrong assumptions, and eventually I'll come to the right answer. So just because some of the things that I thought were wrong at first are not wrong with it doesn't mean that they're not valid methods for troubleshooting a small engine that won't repair. Troubleshooting a small engine that won't run. So let's just bear with the mistakes. After all, I've been here since 2013 making mistakes, so you don't have to. Alright, there's the machine. I got the fuel valve open, got the choke on a little bit, so let's see what we see. The on-off switch is in the on position. Thought I'd mention that. But that seems like it's awful easy for me to pull the rope. You say, well, is there some reason you think there's no compression? Well, an old geezer spinning that engine like that doesn't seem normal to me. So what I've already done is I've taken the spark plug, I removed the air cleaner, laid the spark plug up on shiny metal. I know the spark plug works. You can see it making a spark when I pull the rope. I don't think the camera would capture the sparks when I'm not showing that step. So since I'm thinking, well, maybe there's a low compression, I'm going to put a compression gauge on it and find out. Just hang loose while I unscrew the spark plug. Okay, this is my compression gauge here. It's got an end that screws into the spark plug, and it's got a nice gauge here to show us the reading. It's got a little valve here to let the pressure off once we've got our reading. And I've unscrewed the spark plug, which is this little guy here, and I cleaned it up and I checked, and it makes sparks. So let's screw this guy in and find out what he'll do. And one of the reasons why I'm suspecting maybe low compression is small engines have sometimes a habit, if you let it stop and set it up for the winter with one of the valves open, that valve has been known to rust in place there, and then you wouldn't have enough compression. We need over 110 pounds, at least 110 pounds of compression for the engine to run right. Alright, I'm going to have to get down here close with my cheaters on to see it. I'll put y'all to sleep while I do that. You might can see the gauge while I'm pulling on the rope. It should come up soon. Doesn't look good, does it? Okay, now then, there's two things could be wrong. The rings could be totally shot, or a valve could be stuck open. So the next step in diagnosing whether the rings are shot or there's a valve stuck open is I'll get a can of oil and I'll squirt oil in the cylinder. If it's the rings, whoop, here comes the compression back again. So let's do that. Alright, I put several squirts of oil down in the cylinder with my oil can. I'll lean it over a little bit this way to make sure that the oil gets evenly distributed around in the cylinder. Because I'm thinking the piston kind of is on an angle there. Alright, that should have coated the inside of the cylinder wall, so that if it's bad rings, that should improve the situation, the compression situation, that is. I wish I could reach down there better with this thing, because I could make a much tighter seal, but I think the O-ring seals pretty good just by the pressure I got on it there. Alright, put the gauge back on there, and let's see if it makes any difference. Alright, that leads me to conclude that there's a valve stuck open. So now I have to go through all the torture involved in taking the little valve cover off. Luckily, this is an overhead valve engine, and there's only four nuts on the valve cover, so I'll let you sleep while I take that off. Okay, so as unbelievable as it might be, I have reason to think that I might have been wrong about the stuck valve. But let's move the engine over and see what happens. And there you are. The valves seem to be moving quite well. That one seems to move. That one seems to move okay. There's not real strong springs on little engines like this, but they are latched onto the valve, so if the valve didn't move, you would know it. Whoops. Now I popped that one off of there, off of the push rod. Oh well. So, back to the drawing board. More diagnostics, if you please. There's an offhand chance that I just didn't really get oil all over the piston. That thing's leaning at an angle. So, what we're going to do is we're going to pour some fuel down in there. And see if it's not just a problem with the carburetor not getting any fuel. We're not getting any fuel. So I guess I need to take the little bowl off the bottom of the carburetor and clean it out. Alright, here's the trouble. Look at the goop in the bottom of the carburetor bowl. I mean, that's a really thick layer of goop in there. And I'm kind of surprised to see that, except that you have to think back. This belonged to the local hardware store as a rental tool, and according to the manufacturer, this thing was made in the middle of the summer that they quit renting tools, so I figured it probably didn't have a lot of use, but chances are somebody's poured a lot of really dirty gasoline down in that thing. Hope I got that mosquito. And so I'm going to have to clean this stuff up somewhat, and there's no use in you watching me slushing this stuff around trying to get all the goop and mud and dirt out of it. I've never seen anything like that in a carburetor before. I mean, this is incredible. I guess a lot of dirt's been poured in it. Look at that goop coming out of there. Whew. It's getting clearer down towards the new stuff that I put in, but that's bad looking stuff. Let me move you over closer. Kind of like mud. And the bad news here is that I don't have any gasoline or petrol or benzene. I'm going to have to go to the local station and buy some. So obviously I've got to clean out that tank. Strange how it's starting to run looking more like gasoline now. But I'm sure that tank needs a really good cleaning. I sure hope my bowl there is big enough to hold it all. Otherwise I'm going to be sitting here with one finger in the dike and the other finger trying to figure out how to get more capacity. I didn't know that tank was really that big. Sure looks a lot bigger than I thought, huh? I guess instead of talking, I need to find me a bolt to jam in that hose. Yeah, that'll slow it down some. Yeah, that helped. Okay, so I guess this gasoline is going to have to mysteriously disappear, and then I'll bring the little pan back and we'll try draining the rest of it. Well, I poured a lot of it out on the stump that I need to eradicate in the backyard, but this stuff was too heavy to run out of the little bowl here. So I've got a real cleaning job to do here still. Once I get all the fuel out of the tank, then I've got to wash out that tank, which I think I'll do with simple green. And I'll let you guys take a nap until I get all that tank washed out and the carburetor washed out. And I've got to go to the local gas station and get some more fuel of some kind. Well, I'm glad I made plastic soft jaws for my vise, because I had to get this little guy off the bottom of the carburetor and it was really stuck tight. So I put the flat spots of the carburetor against the soft jaws and I managed to get it loose. Look at the crud that's in there. Look at that. Unbelievable. This is going to be a big cleanup job. And I still haven't got the gas tank off. I had to go get the manual and look in it. I think I finally located where the last bolt is at. This is a big cleanup job for sure. You can see the kind of crud that I'm prying out of this little part of the carburetor here. Look at that. And I've already got the most of it out. Terrible. And that gray stuff, that's what aluminum corrosion looks like, I think. Look at all this crud. Incredible. There's a channel that I watch called The Exploration here on YouTube. And it's a really interesting channel. They don't come out with videos terribly often. Or actually this one young guy that does it. But it's about history and why this happened and all the stuff that you would be interested in. I don't know, if you're not interested in history, you won't like it. But if you are, you probably will. Alright, I soaked the carburetor and the gas tank in simple green for probably a good 36 hours. And I think the gas tank got nice and clean. The carburetor, maybe. That carburetor was really bad off, and the little metal bowl on the bottom of it, it required me taking a burr and putting in my in my drill and just scraping the corrosion out with it. And I'm hoping the carburetor won't leak gasoline or anything, and that it's going to run. I just now put gas in it and open the gas valve there, so it's probably filling up right this second. I haven't tried to start it yet. When I had the gas tank off, I could almost reach the spark plug hole really nice, and so of course I couldn't, so I took the muffler off, and I could get down there with a pair of needle nose pliers and tighten my my hose that goes to the compression tester. I never did get a good compression test. I don't know why. Must be something wrong with my compression tester. It's old like me, you know. I got it back in the 70s, so maybe it's not holding pressure or something. Uh-oh, I can see gasoline dripping off the carburetor, so let's see if it'll run anyway. Good to hook up the spark plug. Okay, let's let the gasoline drip a while, and then I'll bring you back. Now let's give her another try here. Dripping gasoline and all. Well, compression must be good. You can see the drops of gasoline falling out of the bottom of the carburetor. At least I think you can. Go there close. I could buy a gasket set for it. That'd cost half the price of a carburetor probably. I can buy a carburetor, and it'll cost almost a third as much as a new engine. So, what the heck am I going to do here? I guess I need to take the day off. Maybe go down south and fly the drone or something. You know, and think about it. No use rushing into this, even though I should have the garden in already. I will. Procrastination. That's what us rednecks do.